Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're continuing our read through of Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings, and we have come to a pretty eventful chapter, not very long, chapter 35, A Light by Which to See. And what makes this chapter so important is that Kaladin has been literally hung out to dry, and according to his judgment by High Prince Sadeas, that because he has led what they're viewing is a coup on the battlefield of the Shattered Plains, and with his side carry maneuver, he not just thwarted the attack to go get the chrysalis from the beasts and beat the Parshendi there, but his actions led to over 200 bridgemen and a lot of soldiers dying in that attack. And Kaladin obviously knows that what he did was foolish, but he is now facing the penalty, and he has been given over to the Stormfather, this sort of mystic, godlike creature who rules over the Highstorm that perpetually blows around Roshar, and they can almost predict it. Well, Kaladin now is going to face the wrath and the judgment of the storm. Before we get into that, though, there is another little heading that Yasna is recording, and we read an oldest surviving source mentioning this city, Urithiru. Though many wished Urithiru to be built in Alethala, it was obvious that it could not be. And so it was that we asked for it to be placed westward in the place nearest to Honor. And Honor there is capitalized, seemingly a name. I don't know who this individual is, but we will continue to read. And then there's a caption, "What I wouldn't give for a way to translate the dawn chant." So keep your eye out for any more mentions of this Honor individual. And what is this dawn chant? We'll continue with those headings as the chapters progress. But yes, let's jump back in here to poor Kaladin. And really, again, as I mentioned, the chapter is not long, but it is filled with Kaladin being blown like a rag doll. Of course, he is tied up by his ankles, and there's this sort of metal ring attached to Bridge 4's barrack, and he's tied to it. And as he's being whipped around like a kite or like a banner, Syl is with him. She is trying to give him encouragement. Hold on, keep going, you've got this. He's weak, he's freezing, there's rocks smashing into him. He's being slammed into the roof and the side of the building. At one point, he sort of gets flipped around and he can grab onto this ring that's holding him. But eventually his hands grow numb and he slips off and he's just being blown again. Not good. What's really interesting, though, is right in the middle of this, while Kaladin is just in the midst of chaos, utter destruction and storms and insanity, everything stopped. And he feels like he's dead. Actually, we kind of read there, "I knew it, I was dead, but then I still wondered why I was conscious," right? And it felt like the air itself seemed to weigh less as he did. He almost felt as if he could float away. And in the darkness, in the midst of this massive storm, everything goes dark, everything goes still. Kaladin opens his eyes and he looks up and he sees an enormous face in the sky above him. A face of blackness, yet faintly traced in the dark. It was wide, the breadth of a massive thunderhead, and extended far to either side, yet it was somehow still visible to Kaladin, inhuman, smiling. So he sees this almost shadow or imprint of a face in the sky, like a massive cloud. And he feels this sort of prickle of ice run down his body. The sphere that Teft had given him for luck, it was done. It suddenly burst to life in his hand, flaring with a sapphire glow, and it illumined the space around him. He looked down at the sphere, looked back up, and that face was gone. And lightning flashed again, and the pain returned, and he gets blown away again. Okay, so that happens kind of right in the middle of the storm. What is that? We don't get any explanation. Well, he endures for a while longer, and then eventually falls off into subconscious or unconsciousness. And then the point of view shifts at the end of the chapter. So we get a new point of view here, and it's of Teft. It's Teft's point of view. And Rock, the second that Rock is able to go out in the storm and it's not dangerous, he bursts out and he goes running around to go see Kaladin. He actually believes that he's going to be alive. Well, Teft here kind of is walking behind him, eyes down. And he's just mad at himself. He's mad at himself for not believing. He's mad at himself for believing that Kaladin's going to make it. And he's sort of like talking to himself. You wouldn't stare at your feet if you actually believed. You'd look up and see. And when he comes around, he looks up and he sees just the mangled and mutilated body of Kaladin. I mean, rocks and wind and smashing. It has just destroyed him. And there's blood and there's ribbons of flesh. Awful, awful, awful. Teft sort of thinks to himself, poor lad, you almost made me believe in you. When Kaladin's eyes snap open, everyone who's there gasps. Some actually fall backwards. And Kaladin's eyes close again. And he just sort of goes limp, opens his hand. And what falls out is that sphere. Well, it's gone done. It's not glowing anymore. And Teft asks himself, what in the name of Kalek? You left a sphere out in the storm, and it gathered stormlight. Held in Kaladin's hand, this one should have been fully infused. What had gone wrong? Well, Rock immediately begins speaking in his Horn-Eater language, and he's yelling at people, realizes he's speaking the wrong language, translates back to Alethi, and it's like, go get doctors, go cut him down. We need to bring him in to... He is alive. We're not going to lose him now. And the chapter ends with Teft seemingly aware of something that we're not aware of. He's speaking to himself. And he looks at it and he thinks, an empty sphere after a storm. And a man who's still alive when he should have been dead. Two impossibilities. And then Teft starts yelling at him too. Hurry, hurry! And he glanced back at Kaladin, then he spoke much more softly. And you'd better survive, son, because I want some answers. Okay, there's a lot that happened there, a lot that we don't know. The answers have not been given to us yet. But Kaladin survived, seemingly. We'll see if he actually pulls through. He saw a face in the midst of the storm, a smiling, shadowy, massive face. What is that? We'll see. How is that sphere done? Because stormlight reinfuses the spheres. And how did he survive? Huge questions. We'll find out though in the next chapter. Maybe the ones after that. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember. We'll try to find answers. But thanks so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the read through. Hope you're enjoying this story. It's a massive story. It's a fun story. This is a hugely enjoyable time. So keep on reading, keep on enjoying. If you're curious, interested, you can like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll continue reading through The Way of Kings in the next video. But until then, take care.